Yay! Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Becca's Backyard Live. I am Becca Lori Hector, your hostess with the mostest for this live, and your only hostess for this live. So here I am, uh, sitting here. It's a really pretty day today. A little on the chillier side, but that's not so bad. I don't mind. Um, I'm kind of feeling a little colder than normal too. I think I'm a little more sensitive to the temperature, but I will talk to you about that in moments. But welcome. Hey, CV, Miriam, Joe, Karen, welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited to see you guys here. Um, Once again, I'm sitting in front of my aspens in the shade. Oh, can you hear them? Oh, so pretty in the wind. I love that noise and I love the way they look so much. I wish it was a clearer picture of them. But anyway, talk about my own Sims here on this channel. All right, so here we are live. What is our topic for this week? Well, before we get started, I figured we just chit chat a little bit about kind of what life is like right now. I've hit this really odd place in this whole COVID quarantine, like, I don't know, our situation, I guess. And I'm getting antsy. I mean, I know I'm working on the course and that's keeping me busy, but I'm antsy to like do something like, oh, I don't know what to describe. I'm antsy to like see something different. So Antonio and I have been talking about some road trips and things like that, and I think we're probably going to start to do something like that. But I noticed that it's recent, like in the last week or two, that I'm starting to finally, hey Nancy, that I'm starting to finally like feel the quarantine or feel the results of this thing. And good to note that it took me about, I don't know, 3 months, I guess, before I really was uncomfortable about it. And now I'm just kind of like, it's a nuisance. The mask is a nuisance. Can we do this? Should I do this? Nuisance. Can't just go out and do things the way that we used to. And I guess that's been good for a lot of people and kind of bad for me, because sometimes if something is overly complicated, like if a normal hike is then complicated by something else, I tend to get really like meh about it, and then I don't want to do it. It gets like overwhelming almost, or it's too many changes. I'm not sure. But so the whole procedure of like leaving the house during this quarantine thing is just finally getting to me. And I don't know, there's not much I can do about it. I can process through it and just understand that I can't possibly be the only one feeling that way. But not only that, I can do something about it. I mean, I can change up my days a little. I can, maybe it's time to change up my morning routine or my night routine or something. But yeah, I'm just finally feeling it. So I thought I'd share that with you guys, because I know you guys have been sharing with me when you're feeling anxious about leaving the house and anxious about a lot of things during this procedure. And I just wanted to share with you that I'm having my own feelings going through it, and I'm sort of processing through it in my own right, I guess, and in my own way. And it's sort of the combo plan, I guess, of alexithymia and just that I'm naturally um, someone who likes a lot of isolation, that it didn't bother me till now. And now I think I'm annoyed because other people are annoyed out in the world. And so it's like going out is now like an annoyance to everybody. And they're all annoyed when I see them in the annoying places like the supermarket. And I don't know, it's all too much. It's just too much right now. And that's how I'm feeling. Like it's all a little too much. And what that tells me is that I need a break from the mundane, a break from my everyday routine, a break from kind of doing this stuff and sitting so in front of the computer. And so I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm a little bit, I think, bored is really what it's coming down to, is that I've let myself get bored. So I need some creation juices, and that comes from me and music, and it comes to me from outside time, and so I need to make an absolute effort this week to do more of that, because I can feel it. I feel like I need it, in that way. Um, Miriam says, I really love how much the world is changing, except the death and evictions and stuff like that. I know a lot of autistic people like routine, but I like less. Me too. So, Miriam, that's the thing. There are things that I like routine about, but there are also things that I like variation in. And I keep that variation in my life by always being busy doing lots of different things. So I do YouTube, but I also write, but I also do consulting, and I also, I'm an animal person, and I try to keep the variety in my life that way and keep it that kind of variety. But I'm really enjoying the changes as well, Miriam. And it's not that I'm feeling tired of the changes or exhausted by the changes. It's that I'm enjoying them, but I'm annoyed by other people's frustration about the changes and the way that other people are behaving as a result of not knowing how to handle these changes. And that's getting in my way, if that makes sense. Yeah, Joe's been hibernating and scared. Yeah, and it's time to start creating. It's time to be like not scared anymore. There's a certain amount of it that's in our control. There's a certain amount of how much exposure you get that's within your control. And I think it's time to start like putting back in the world. And now I'm like uncomfortable. It's not even that I'm hot. I'm uncomfortable. And so let's start to talk about this, because that's going to be our topic for today. We're 5 minutes in, and I want to talk to you about why I'm so uncomfortable right now. I'm tired. Okay. And it's not like I did a lot of exercise or something and I'm tired in that way. I didn't do a lot of social or anything either. I'm not tired in that way. So I'm feeling unenergized, I think, by my life. And I'm also not, I've been noticing that I'm not getting some like solid sleep in the last few days. So what I want to talk about is how easy it is for our autistic brains to get tired, and that it's important that we pay attention to that feeling of tired. I get all different kinds of feelings of tired. So for me, there's like social tired, and then there's physical tired, and then there's emotionally tired, which is where I think I am right now. That's the tired that I believe that I've recognized is this emotional exhaustion that I'm having right now, which means I need to do some things to change my inner feelings, like getting outside, doing some writing, being creative, right? The stuff that I always tell you guys to do. But that's the kind of tired I'm feeling. And it made me want to talk about sleep. Right. And I'm just so tired that that's what I want to talk about. And so I want to talk about sleep and tiredness kind of in themselves. So the kinds of tired. This is what I want to talk about, right? There's physical tired. So if you go to the gym that day, or you run a marathon, or you play with a lot of kids, or do something physical, right? Go on a hike or a bike or something like that. Tired, right? Physical body tired, need to sleep kind of thing. But there's other kinds of tired that I think aren't necessarily cured by sleep, where sleep isn't necessarily the solution to that kind of tired. So to me, physical exhaustion, sleep, solution every time, right? Absolutely. Then there's social exhaustion, right? And social exhaustion is totally different. Sleep is great, and sleep does help, and a nap is on point for social exhaustion. But it's the sensory overload of social, it's the work that social takes. And so even for me, even just turning out, like being done with the social and turning off the world and sitting on my couch watching TV, or being on my phone, or hanging out just on the couch with my dogs, right? Just doing the antithesis of social will often help me feel much better. And it's not, and less tired, right? And it's not because I slept, which you can do, but because I sort of stopped using the component that I was using. So, for example, if you've ever, if you ever tried to like hold a painting up for somebody while they're trying to tack it into the wall or something, and as you're sitting there, you're like, okay, my arm's getting kind of tired now, right? It's a little tired, and the painting's starting to fall, and the arm is getting tired. And really, the only solution to that is to put your arm down, right? And it's not that your arm needs to sleep or that your body needs to sleep. It's that you need to stop using that arm and let that arm rest. And so to me, that's what the social component is. It's like, I need to let that arm, my social arm, rest. And that doesn't mean I need to do nothing or I need to sleep. It just means I need to not do social for me, right? And so that's a different kind of tired to me. And the third kind of tired I want to talk about is like psychological tired, or emotionally tired, right? And that's how I'm feeling right now, sort of just like everything's too much. I'm feeling pulled really thin. That's making me feel really badly about myself. I've been having days of like just dislike of myself and feeling really down on myself, like I'm not doing enough, I'm not helping enough people. is this really my purpose? Am I really supposed to be doing this? And on top of it, I feel ugly and I feel fat and I feel all of these other things, right? And that's all coming from this emotional exhaustion. And that means I have to do a little work. I think emotional exhaustion is the one that takes the most work, right? Physical exhaustion, sleep, good night's sleep, and you're good, right? Social exhaustion, a little bit of rest, a little bit of time alone, and you're good, right? Emotional exhaustion takes work, especially for someone like me that has alexithymia, right? I really have to work to kind of pull apart that puzzle of kind of what what kind of tired that is, and kind of where did the tired come from, and what is the emotional source, and what can I do to fix that? And in general, those things are always the same, right? They're always create something, build something, do some exercise, get up, get moving, don't fall and get stuck into the inertia, right? And so I feel that need to go and get inspired by the world, and I feel that need to feel small. That's something that nature does to me all the time. It reminds me how very small and insignificant I am. And that makes me remember that my problems are small and insignificant. And I need that reminder sometimes. I think when we're too into ourselves and too into our own lives, we lose that perspective, and that perspective lets us magnify, our emotional issues and kind of magnify the problem. And so it's a puzzle. It's a slow recuperation from emotional exhaustion. Just like it's slow to get to emotional exhaustion, it's slow to creep out of it too. But important. It's an important part of staying mindful, and an important part of staying aware, self-aware, right? And being mindful that you need things, right? And that stuff is happening. This kind of exhaustion, I used to ignore constantly because I felt it constantly. Without a diagnosis, there was no way to understand it. And so there was just a constant feeling of emotional labor, emotional exhaustion, psychological exhaustion, trying to answer the big questions of life at the same time that you're feeling down on it, right? And that's sort of that place that you get into. And I feel myself being drawn to that place. I feel the pull right now of that. And so I know I need to do something about my emotional exhaustion. And for me, that means I need to do a little bit of separating, a little bit of time away from the computer, a little bit of time remembering me, dealing with little a autism, remembering Becca and what her needs are, her priorities are. So easy to get dragged along with things and fall into old habits like comparing ourselves to other people and things like that. And that adds to that emotional labor. So I know I need to take some separation time. I know I need to walk away a little bit, and I will, and I'll do it in pieces. And I know that I can't rush this healing too. But I've recognized it now, right? And so the recognition that it's there, that I'm feeling so awful. And for me, there are little like signs that it's emotional exhaustion. I start to feel like I'm going to cry more often. I start to think about some of the more sad things in my life. I tend to miss my mom a lot more when I'm feeling emotionally exhausted. Things like that. And so it lets me know what kind of exhausted it is. And to me, that's just like a depleting feeling. And social exhaustion feels more like a headache. It's more like that to me. Social exhaustion. It's just like I need to just close it off for a little bit, right? And that's how social exhaustion feels to me. And then physical exhaustion to me literally feels like my body can't move, and it's time to, and like I can't fight that kind of sleep, right? So I guess that's it. There's parts of it, right? There's the 3 kinds of tiredness, and I definitely wanted to talk about that. And then there's, of course, the issue of sleep itself. For those of us on the spectrum, we chase sleep. We just want it so badly, and it doesn't come often enough or easy enough. Sleep is one of those issues that we talk about all the time. And I think, most of us struggle with it because our brains are so loud. Because in general, the information going on in there and the conversation going on in there is too loud to shut off and actually fall asleep. You just end up participating in the conversation instead. And so it's a struggle. It's a real struggle. And then on the opposite end of it, once I give into sleep, the waking of the brain again from the sleep is another bit of effort, right? But it's so important, and it's something our bodies need and our brains need and our our souls need and our hearts and all of the different parts of us need that rest. But it is so so intangible to us as autistics, I feel like. But there's keys to it. There's secrets to it, right? There are so many secrets to it. Most of them come in sleep hygiene, which is something we should definitely talk about. Stuff like going to sleep at the same time every night and waking up at the same time every morning, doing the same kind of routine every night as you head to bed. So setting yourself up for letting your body know it's time to switch off, right? You know, a lot of us brush our teeth before bed, but adding into that, right? Turning off our phones maybe an hour before bed is the first sign, and things like that, right? Which is something I have to say, I'm guilty of not turning my phone off these days before bed. And so there's reason for me to be feeling tired and not feeling like I'm getting the right rest, because I'm not doing my sleep hygiene. So busted, Becca, it's time to turn off your phone. But there's other parts of it. There's so much to sleep hygiene. And I really, if you don't know about it and you haven't looked into it, I really recommend just Google the word sleep hygiene, take a look at what people are talking about, because it's one of the few things that actually works to help with sleep. Other stuff you can try, homeopathic medications. A lot of people find success with melatonin. I myself, not so much, but lots of people do. Chamomile as well helps people. I'm a big fan of taking Benadryl before I go to sleep. That really helps me sleep. And so there's medications that you can take. And then, of course, there's the heavy duty prescription medications that you can get for your doctor. But of course, those are habit forming, and sometimes it's harder to wake up from them, and they come with other side effects. So it's a lot to think about when you think about starting to take medication for sleep. A lot of us find that if we're needing an antidepressant or help with our anxiety, when we take medications for that, that can affect our sleep in either way. So is that something that's affecting your sleep? Stuff like that. And we need to think about all of those things, and we need to make sure that we make sleep kind of a priority in our life. I mean, it's such a difficult thing for us to get as autistics, and so incredibly important that we have to take advantage of it. I myself am a huge fan of naps. I know that if left to my own devices, really sleep is my favorite thing in the whole world. I would nap every day, probably twice a day. I would sleep 8 to 10 hours a night every night if I could. I'm just not somebody who wakes easily. I love sleep. I feel like it gives my brain a break, and I really enjoy sleep. So I'm somebody who, without my proper sleep is not a pleasant person to be around. And I think most of us get that way when our needs aren't being met. So part of the cycle of tiredness is, are you taking care of the sleep side of things? Are you, your rest and sleep, are you monitoring that? Are you taking care of that? Those pieces, right? So that's a really important part of sleep too. So it's like this tiredness and complete frustration surrounding sleep. It's no wonder that I'm feeling tired, but also it's nice to know I'm not the only one. There was a really long time that I struggled with sleep, and I would stay up all night long doing the things that I loved because I was sneaking in my special interests into my day and losing sleep. But there was nobody in the world who understood that. Now I know I'm surrounded by a bunch of people who also struggle for sleep, and also struggle to find rest and to understand resting and how to fit it into our lives, since it's so elusive for us. It's so elusive to the autistic brain. Yeah. So I guess that's really what I wanted to talk about today is sleep and the importance of sleep and how much we need it, and how pro nap I am. Can I say that? I am very pro nap. And I just think it's incredibly important. And it's important also to recognize our different kinds of tiredness, right? And what kind of tired you actually are. Because if you're just trying to sleep away your emotional tiredness, it's going to be there every time you wake up. So it's not the right solution to emotional tiredness. Whereas if you try to philosophize your way through physical exhaustion, you also will not succeed. Right? So it's about pairing those two things together, identifying your kind of tired, and then figuring out what kind of rest pairs with it, what works for you, right? So yeah, I see you guys chatting. Oh, a lot of people. Yeah, being emotionally exhausted a lot. Yeah. And it's a different kind of tired, right? The emotional exhaustion. People are missing people. Thanks, Nancy. I'm missing people. Yeah, grief is a difficult one. I mean, it's hard. And I know that I will probably be grieving for the rest of my life. It's been over 5 years, but it comes up. And on the days that I'm feeling vulnerable, and the days that I'm feeling emotionally tired, or the days that I'm feeling kind of beat down, I think you think about the people that have given you the most comfort. And when they're gone, you can't help but think about them and grieve that again, that sense of comfort. Because that's always what we're looking for in that exhausted emotional place, right? Is how do I solve that, and how do I get myself out of it? And you're seeking the comfort from people, and I think we can't help it. And figuring out how to best manage your tiredness is really important to recognize your tiredness, right? Like I was talking a little bit about how I'm cold right now, and it's not that it's cold outside. It's definitely 70 something degrees outside right now, plenty warm in the sun, but because I'm tired and emotionally tired, I'm having trouble temperature regulating. So I'm really feeling the cold. I've got goosebumps right now, and then I'm overheating, and I'm just really having a struggle because there's a exhaustion happening in my life, and so things aren't rolling well. So look for your triggers. I know that my temperature sensitivity and all of my sensitivities go up when I'm tired, and so when I notice that I'm feeling like I can't sit in the shade without my sunglasses on, right, that I might just be a little bit tired. So that is what today's live stream is about. Is a reminder that sleep and tiredness are a fact of life. They're important. There's different kinds of tiredness, and there are things that you can do besides sleep to also rest, right? So I think that's what I wanted to share with you. I wanted you to remember that you can look for those kinds of tiredness in your life, and you can solve them in different ways. But that it's also important to know that there's different kinds of tiredness, so that you're not accusing one kind of tiredness to be the other kind of tiredness, and that we're making sure that we are dealing with what's on our actual plate. So it's amazing, again, to know that I'm not the only one feeling emotionally tired out there, and that I'm not the only one struggling with sleep. Yeah, I mean, it's important to be using those right tools, and to know where to make your corrections, and where to find the places, and also to learn your triggers, right? But again, this is the importance of self-care. This is the value of putting yourself first, of prioritizing self, right? Is understanding that something like sleep, which doesn't affect anybody but you, is something you need to prioritize anyway, right? It's all of these take care of yourself things first that then make you better caregivers, right? So those are the thoughts I want to leave you with today. With my tired brain, my emotionally tired self is going to try and disconnect a little bit, and try to make some plans for the rest of the week to inspire my tired brain, so that I can begin to create and get myself out of this emotional exhaustion, to remind myself that I am empathetic, and I'm probably carrying other people's emotional exhaustion with me as well. And so it's a time of kindness, a time of self-care, and a time to actively do something to make our moods change. So I'm going to go off and do that. I hope I've given you guys something to think about, the kinds of tireds that you might be experiencing, and the kind of rest you need as a result. And I hope you guys go and get some sleep for me, especially you UK people. You're up late now. Go to sleep. Go to bed. Go to bed for me. Have good dreams. I'm going to go take a nap, I think. And I will see you guys on Friday with Neurodiversity Newsstand. And of course, I'll be back here next Tuesday for Becca's Backyard Live. You can always reach me anywhere you want. You can comment wherever you're seeing this video, or you can email me directly at info@beccalaurie.com. Today is June 30th. Tomorrow is July 1st. July 1st. My newsletter comes out. My newsletter will contain not only nifty tips for you, but it also will contain discounts to my virtual personal development course called Self-Defined Living. You will get the discounts in there as well. So go head over to beccalaurie.com. That's LORY.com. Sign up for the newsletter so you get it first thing in the morning, and you get a hold of those discounts. All right, you guys, that's all my reminders for now, except if you want a scholarship seat for Unit 2, please email me, info@beccalaurie.com. I have scholarship seats available. I'm happy to give them away. Please email me. Thanks, you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day or an amazing night full of good dreams, and I will see you on Friday. Bye, guys.